Welcome to Employment Law class. Today we look at Section 3 of Unit 3, which is on Payments under the Labour Act 2003 Act 651. Session Objectives. By the end of this session, you should be able to explain what is meant by payment under the law, identify some permitted and prohibited deduction for remuneration under the Labour Act, payment under the Labour Act, or payment in general. So, under Section 67 of Act 651, it talks about payment of remuneration, and this consists of your wages, your salaries, and all your allowances. It should be in the form of legal tender. Holidays and holidays pay. So during holidays too, you are supposed to be paid. It's also part of your payment. Workers' entitlement of at least 15 days of annual leave with full pay. So in every year, a worker is entitled to at least 15 days. So it means that the minimum should be 15 days. And even when you go for leave, you still have to pay as if you are still working. Payment during the absence due to sickness. If you are sick, you also have to be paid, even though you're not working. However, this depends on the terms of the contract. The terms of contract will provide that if you are sick, you will be paid a maximum of 2 months, 3 months based on the agreement. If exceed, it means that you will not be paid in that regard. Maternity pay, Article 27 clause 1 of 1992 Constitution allow maternity leave, and when you go for maternity leave, you have to pay as well. Article 24 clause 1 deals with equal payment. Here, the law says that equal payment should attract equal pay without distinction. So if you are doing a particular work and that work, it comes with a particular payment. Once you qualify to perform that task, the amount that's associated with that work should be given to you. Prohibited deduction under the law. So Section 69 of Act 651 prohibits certain deductions that could be done by the employer. The law provides an employer shall not make any deduction by way of discount, interest, or any similar charge on the account of advance of an account of an advance of remuneration made to the worker in anticipation of the regular period of payment of the remuneration. Here, what we simply means that if an employer makes advance payment to the worker, then the employer is prohibited from charging any interest or making any deduction on that advance. An employer shall not impose a pecuniary penalty upon a worker for any cause whatsoever, or deduct from the remuneration due to the worker any amount whatsoever, unless the deduction is permitted by Section 70 or by any other law in respect of repayment of an amount of remuneration made by the employer to the worker. So the law stipulates that you cannot, as an employer, you cannot deduct any amount, or you cannot impose any penalty on the remuneration of the worker. And typical example, you could see that in some of the private schools, normally what they do is that they have some kind of policy. I don't know where they got that policy from. When you are late to class or school, you'll be deducted from, they will deduct a certain amount from your salary. So at the end of the day, if you are late to school for maybe 3 days, they have some amount that they deduct. That attitude is against the law per the provisions of Section 69, subsection 2 of Act 651. The only deduction that is permitted is the permitted deduction under Section 70, or any deduction that is required by law. By, for instance, deduction, tax deduction, that one is permitted by law. And social security, social security, that one too is permitted by law. Now let's look at permitted deduction under Section 70. Subsection 1 of Section 70 of Act 651 provides that an employer may, the word here is may, with the consent, keyword, with the consent of the worker, make any of the following deduction from the remuneration of the worker. So the requirement here is that the deduction should be permitted by the worker. That means the worker should consent to the fact that we want to make the following deduction. If the worker failed to give his consent for deduction, as an employer, you cannot make such deduction. So once the consent has been given, once the worker has agreed that such deduction should be done, then the law says that any amount due from the worker in respect of contribution to any provident pension or other fund or scheme agreed by the worker, then it will be deducted from the amount. So if it is contribution relating to the following: provident fund, any other fund or scheme arrangement agreed by the worker, then that deduction will be made. Also, any financial facility advanced by the employer to the worker at a written request of the worker, or any facility guaranteed by the employer to the worker. Here we're talking about the fact that loan has been given, and you have instructed your employer that in fact every month deduct this amount from the loan have taken. That one is permitted. Any amount paid to the worker in error as remuneration in excess of what the worker is legitimately entitled to from the employer. So if the employer has paid you in excess, the law requires the employer to deduct that amount back. So what you are saying that because an error has been made and that amount has been paid to the employer, that amount could be deducted. However, if you are an employee, you are being paid more than what you are supposed to receive, and you quickly withdraw the excess, it means that you have the intention to defraud your employer. Once you are paid more than excess, seek for clarification why that excess has been paid. Perhaps it may be a mistake, and when it is a mistake, allow your employer to withdraw that amount, or if you have spent it, it will be deducted from your subsequent pay. On the written authority of the worker, any amount due from the worker as a membership fee or contribution to an organization of which the worker is a member. So you are a member of a particular association, then you have to make contribution. You can agree that my employer every month take 50 cedis, pay it into this particular organization's account. That one is permitted. For any loss suffered by the employer as a result of the loss of or damage, loss suffered by the employer as a result of loss of or damage to any property or thing used in connection with or produced by the employer's business and which is under the control of the worker. So if the thing is under your control, so the key word here is under the control of the worker. It means that if it's not under the control of the worker, deduction cannot be possible. Now, any deduction complies with order made by the commission, the Labor Commission, as we have. The commission here is the National Labor Commission. So these are the permitted deductions. Section 2 of Section 70 subsection 2 of Act 651.2 knows that no deduction shall be made under subsection 1F unless the employer is satisfied that that loss or damage has been caused by the worker and the worker is clearly shown to be responsible. So where we talk about the fact that if the employer suffered damage as a result of the fact that the incident was under the control of the employee or the worker, the employer can make deductions. However, before that one can be made, it should be shown that the loss or damage caused by the worker and the worker is clearly to be responsible. So it means that if the worker damage has caused but the worker is not responsible for that damage, it can be deducted from his payment or remuneration. The amount to be deducted is fair and does not exceed the actual value of the loss or damage suffered by employer or that represents a fair estimate of the loss or damage suffered. What we are saying that the amount that should be deducted should be fair. It should not be more than the exact loss or damage cost. So if the property's damage was 1,000 cedis, you deduct only 1,000 cedis from the employee's remuneration. You can't deduct 1,002. That the worker has been given a reasonable opportunity to show cause why the deduction should not be made, and that the rate of deduction is such as to avoid hardship to the worker and his or her dependent. So what this means is that you have to allow the worker to show reason why the amount should not be deducted. If he is not able to give a good reason, then you can go ahead to deduct. And the amount that you are going to deduct, it should not cause harm to the worker. So for instance, if the damage cost was 1,000, which the employee or the worker was responsible, the remuneration for the employee is also 1,000. As an employer, you cannot deduct all the 1,000 at a go, because once you do that, it will bring hardship. It will bring hardship. By the way, the act says that we should avoid causing hardship to the worker and his dependent. If we take all the 1,000 at a go, what amount do you expect the worker to use to feed his family and himself or herself? Where a worker who is aggrieved by the deduction made by his or her employer under subsection 1 is unable to resolve the matter with the employer, the worker must present a complaint in writing to the commission. So if you are not satisfied with the deduction made by your employer and you were not able to reach agreement, you bring petition to the commission, the National Labour Commission. The National Labour Commission or the commission shall investigate the complaint. So the commission will investigate the complaint, and its decision on the matter shall be subject to any law be final. So the decision will be subject to any law. So with this, it does not take the court jurisdiction, but it says that subject to any law. It means that if there's a law that gives room for the complaint to go for appeal, that law will supersede this one, because the decision will be subject to any other law. Session summary. This session tried to explain payments under the Labor Act. It also provides for the payment of remuneration, where it outlines some permitted and prohibited deduction from remuneration. Thank you. Have a nice day.